Adjustment meeting held on June 10th, 2025 be approved. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Mark, seconded by John. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item 5. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest to be declared? 25 be approved. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Mark, seconded by John. Those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item 5. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest to be declared? It's bad enough to listen to me once. Okay, we'll just do a little duplication here because of confusion. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, that will be recorded. Item 6, approval of previous minutes. Motion reads that the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meetings held on May 13th, 2025 be approved. Mover, please. Moved by John, second by Larry. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to new business, being our minor variance application. In the name of Jan Lane, I assume that last name is pronounced that way. Application A06-25. Jennifer, if you would, please.
Certainly, through you, Chairman Jibb. This is an application for a minor variance submitted by Jan Lane, the owner of the property at 5147 Oak Hills Road, part of Lot 28, Concession 8 in the township. She has applied for a reduced interior side yard setback of 1.2 meters instead of the normally required 3 meters. During the review of the application, it was determined that a front setback would also be required given the orientation of the house. So we are also in the recommendation, you'll see, looking for a reduced front setback of 16 meters instead of the normally required 20 meters. So she is proposing to construct an addition to an existing dwelling on the subject property. It's a garage addition that will be constructed on the southern side of the property. The 0.4 hectare subject property is located on the east side of Oak Hills Road in the northwest quadrant of the municipality. The surrounding land uses are predominantly residential, rural residential, waterfront residential. There's a larger agricultural property to the east. The property is developed with a single detached dwelling. It's largely been cleared, consisting of manicured lawn. There's a few mature trees in the northeast corner of the property. So the property is located on the Oak Ridges Moraine in a rural part of the municipality. As I mentioned, it's already developed with a single detached dwelling. The provincial planning statement and the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan both allow for the continuation of existing uses on existing lots of record on properties on the Oak Ridges Moraine, and allow for additions to those properties. There's no natural heritage or natural hazard features requiring protection under the policies of the provincial planning statement or the Oak Ridges Marine Conservation Plan. So the proposed variance maintains the intent and is consistent with the provincial planning statement and the Oak Ridges Marine Conservation Plan. Northumberland County official plan designates the property Oak Ridges Moraine Countryside area, and the proposed addition to an existing dwelling is permitted under the policies of that plan also. As with the county official plan, the Hamilton Township official plan designates the property Oak Ridges Moraine Countryside. The purpose of that designation is to encourage agricultural and other rural land uses and support the plan's objectives. There's a variety of uses permitted, including single detached dwellings on existing lots of record on the Oak Ridges Moraine. So the existing dwelling is permitted, as are additions. Now, the township's official plan contains 4 tests for a minor variance. The variance must be minor, it must be desirable and appropriate for the development or use of the land. It must maintain the intent, general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, and maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan. As I noted earlier, residential uses are permitted in the Oak Ridges Marine Countryside Zone. So that's the existing single detached dwelling. So that would be the intent of the official plan has been maintained because this use is permitted on the property. In reviewing the application, it's not possible for the applicant to comply with the required setback due to the position of the dwelling on the house. In considering whether a variance is minor or desirable, we have to focus on the general impact of the variance. And in this case, the proposed variance will facilitate the construction of a garage addition on the existing dwelling. The property that would be most impacted by the proposed addition is that property located to the south of the subject property. And that house, they're sort of staggered with the construction of the houses. The subject property's a little shy of 20 meters from the front lot line, whereas the other property to the south is about 40 meters from the lot line. So the proposed construction of this a garage addition would have no impact given the distance between the two structures. It's not like it's going to be right next to the other person's house. It'll be adjacent to their driveway, which is actually further south on the property. So the requested variance would be considered minor. And the intent of the official plan has been maintained because the official plan permits residential development on existing lots of record on the Oak Ridges Moraine. In the township zoning bylaw, the subject property is zoned Oak Ridges Moraine Countryside, which permits a residential use, and the zone provisions to be used in the Oak Ridges on this property are the rural residential zone provisions, which require a 3 meters exterior, a 3 meter interior setback requirement. And sorry, I've lost my numbers, so I have to go back and check them. So just so that I make sure I am correct. Yes, they're requesting a 1.2 meter instead of a 3 meter setback. The applicant is actually, as part of this application process, she wanted to make sure, and I wanted to make sure for her, that the proposed addition, she wouldn't need to come back to the municipality for a further variance if it was determined that the garage addition was actually going to be closer to the property line, because we're getting pretty close to the property line when she said a 1.2 meter setback, and she wasn't really sure where the setback was. So she did have a surveyor go out to just mark out that lot line to make sure that she would be fine with it. And it's actually determined that the setback is going to be 1.8 meters instead of the 1.2 that she required. So it's a little better situation, but we're sticking with the 1.2 just to give a little bit of flexibility for construction. And with the required front setback, the existing dwelling is set back 17.5 meters from the front lot line. So the existing dwelling would be considered an legal non-compliant structure. The proposed garage addition will encroach 2.7 meters closer to the lot line, the front lot line, than the existing dwelling. But given the angle on the dwelling, it's a little further away from Oak Hills Road on the southern portion of the house. We're requesting a reduced front setback of 16 meters for the proposed garage. And that's just to make sure, because now it loses its legal non-compliant status when there's an addition to the house. So we're just going to go with, I've recommended a 16-meter front setback for the existing house. And so the proposed minor variance maintains the intent of the township zoning bylaw, which permits a single detached dwelling on the subject property. The application was circulated to a number of agencies. Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority commented that the property isn't regulated by GRCA and they have no objection. Northumberland County commented that they had no policy concerns with the application. How originally they requested that the application be deferred because they could not support it, because the applicant had indicated that the septic system was in the rear of the property, and inspection services felt that there was a possibility that the septic system actually came around to the front of the house and went under the driveway and would go under the proposed garage addition. The applicant retained a septic installer who undertook an investigation and confirmed the location of the septic system in the rear yard of the property. So there is no problems with that. Hamilton Township Building Department had no objection. Hamilton Township Fire Department had no objection. Hamilton Township Public Works had no objection. Application was circulated to all registered landowners within 60 meters of the property on May 27th, and a sign was posted that same day. There have been no public comments received to date. So the recommendation is that the application for a 1.2 meter reduced interior side setback to the south of 1.2 meters be approved, and along with a reduced front setback of 16 meters. It was determined that the variance is minor and there'll be no impact on adjacent properties. It's desirable and appropriate for the land, as the property as a single detached dwelling and accessory uses are permitted under the Oak Ridges Marine Countryside designation. The intent of the zoning bylaw has been maintained. The requested variances are minor and will facilitate the construction of a garage addition and to the existing single detached dwelling. So the recommendation is that the application be approved.
Thank you, Jennifer. We'll go to the audience. The first question I have is there anyone here in support of the application that would like to speak? Is there anyone here in the audience in opposition to the application that would like to speak? And is there anyone here in the audience that would like clarification on the application? Seeing none, that will be noted, and I do not believe our applicant is with us today. So I'll turn to my fellow committee members and ask, do you have any questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, I'll read the prepared motion. That the application A06-25 by Jan Lane for a property located at 5147 Oak Hills Road in Part Lot 28, Concession 8, be approved, permitting a reduced interior setback south of 1.2 meters instead of the normally required 3-meter setback, and a reduced front setback of 16 meters instead of the normally required 20 meters. Do we have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by John, seconded by Bruce. All those in favor of the motion? Carried. Thank you. Would you like any reasons for that?
Are the reasons for approval as outlined in the planning analysis section of the planning report?
I would bet yes, but we'll ask the mover and the seconder.
Yes. Yes, the the variance is minor and it meets the 4 tests. Yes.
Are you ready? Okay, continuing on under new business, consent applications. I believe there's 4. Am I right with that, Jennifer?
You are correct.
4 applications. Planning report, basically the same for all 4. But when we get to the actual individual approval or denial, there'll be separate motions. Jennifer, the floor is yours. Please.
Thank you. Through you, Chairman Jib. Yes, we have 4 consent applications, BO4, BO3, BO4, BO5, and BO625, all pertaining to the same property. So for the purposes of the public meeting, we'll review them at one time. And when it comes time to making a decision, we'll be doing a decision for each individual application. So these applications pertain to a property located at 4836 County Road 45 in part of Lot 8, Concession 2, and part of the road allowance between lots 8 and 9. The property is owned by 1141897 Ontario Limited, owned and operated by Stallwood Homes. Anthony Dew is the applicant's agent, and he is here today. So with these 4 applications, the applicant is proposing to sever 4 lots and have 1 retained parcel from the subject property. The properties vary in size from about 0.7 hectares to over 1 hectare. I can give you the application for BO3 would create a 1.07 hectare lot. The property with the application BO425 creates a 1.19 hectare parcel of land, and the application for BO525 creates a 0.73 hectare parcel, and the application for BO625 creates a 1.04 hectare property, with the retained parcel being 1.97 hectares. So they're all fairly large rural, or sorry, not rural. These are in a settlement area, so they're urban residential lots within the municipality. So the subject property has frontage on both Dale Road and County Road 45. The property is currently accessed by a driveway that goes up a slope, and there's a plateau at the top of the hill that has some lovely views looking out to the west and south. The property is developed with a single detached dwelling, which is currently being renovated by the applicant. And they're proposing to create 3 lots that would have 3 lots in the retained would have frontage on County Road 45, and the remaining lot would have frontage on Dale Road or County Road 74. So these lots, it's a little different situation than we quite often deal with for residential consents. With this application, they are proposing the construction of a condominium road that will be used to provide access to each of the individual properties. And the properties all have frontage on a county road. However, in this case, there are some topographic constraints, particularly both roads, but particularly County Road 45, and individual entrance permits would not be probably feasible for those lots. So the applicant is proposing to have a condominium road. So each of the individual severed lots would be parcels of tied land to the condominium, which would consist of the condominium road. So they'd own their individual lots and then have communal ownership over what is essentially a private road. So the property is about 6 hectares. It's located in Baltimore, which is a designated settlement area. Surrounding land uses are predominantly residential uses. Deerfield subdivision is located immediately to the west of the subject property. Baltimore is home to, it's our largest settlement area. It has an elementary school, recreation facilities, church, fire station, several commercial uses, a restaurant. So it's a regular little community within our municipality. Municipal water services are available in Baltimore. However, the capacity of the system is currently under investigation through the completion of a water master plan. The Creighton Heights Water Treatment Plant is located immediately west of the subject property on County Road 74, and that is immediately west of the severed lot that would have frontage on County Road 74 or Dale Road. In my planning report, I noted that there is a well on the lot proposed with consent application B0525. That's incorrect. It's actually, the well is actually located on a property owned by the applicants to the west of that property. The subject property is located within wellhead protection areas A, B, C, and D. So the property is located in a designated settlement area, and under the provincial planning statement, settlement areas are intended to be the focus of development. So it's in our settlement area. Residential uses are permitted. Natural heritage, the PPS contains policies requiring the protection of natural heritage features. There aren't any natural heritage features on the subject property. There's a water course located on the north side of Dale Road that would be considered a natural heritage feature. However, a natural heritage study or an environmental study was not warranted because the feature is divided from the subject property by a road that creates a barrier between the two. So then we also speak to section 5.2 of the PPS contains policies regarding natural hazards, and these policies are intended to ensure that development doesn't take place in areas where there's an unacceptable risk to the public health or safety or property damage, and that do not create new or aggravate existing conditions. Now, there is a steep slope on both sides of the east side and the north side of the subject property. In reviewing the application, Ganaraska Conservation Authority noted that the proposed lots back onto a slope, and they further commented that it appears that all proposed development is sufficiently set back from the top of bank and the long-term stable slope line. GRCA then commented that if the development or construction is proposed to be any closer, that a slope stability analysis should probably be undertaken. It should be noted that GRCA does not regulate steep slopes that are not associated with a water course. So they did us a favor by notifying us that there was a steep slope, but it's not within their mandate to require any studies. Northumberland County commented originally that a slope stability analysis study should be required as a condition of consent given the steep slopes, notwithstanding the fact that development is located quite a piece away from the steep slope area. After some discussion with the county, it was determined that increasing the front setback to 15 meters and rezoning that area to an environmental protection zone would be sufficient to address their concerns regarding slope stability in proximity to the county road. So the PPS also contains policies which require lots to be appropriately sized for services available. These lots are appropriately sized to accommodate the private septic services, and it is proposed that they be serviced with municipal water. So the application is consistent with the provincial planning statement. The property is not located on the Oak Ridges Moraine, so that doesn't apply to these applications. The county official plan, the property is designated rural settlement area, and the county's official plan supports lot creation in this area. They did note that, and I should have mentioned, as with the PPS and the county official plan and the township official plan all contain policies regarding the protection of natural heritage heritage features and resources. An archaeology study has been retained or has been commissioned by the applicant. I believe it's underway, and it is required, and it will be required as a condition of the condominium application that will be required as a condition of consent of these applications. So the property does have potential for archaeological resources. The applicant has acknowledged that and has started that study. Also, a hydrogeology study and a Section 59 notice are required for the property. Because the property is within a wellhead protection area, specifically wellhead protection areas A and B, a hydrological site assessment is required to ensure that nitrates resulting from the proposed development are at acceptable levels and will not pose a significant drinking water threat. So a Section 59 notice is a notice that's required under this Ganaraska Source Protection Plan. The municipality has a risk management official, RMO, which is our manager of water services. And she reviews applications in close proximity to or within the wellhead protection areas to look at any impact they might have on the drinking water supply. And she will issue a notice under Section 59. Without a Section 59 notice, development isn't permitted on the property. Even if it was zoned and they didn't have a Section 59 notice, building couldn't issue a building permit. It's applicable law under the Building Code Act, I think it is. Slope stability analysis. As I mentioned, the county originally wanted a slope stability analysis. After we had some discussion, we agreed to increase the front setback along 45 and Dale Road to 15 meters instead of the normally required 10 meters, and that those lands would be rezoned to an environmental zone to prevent any structures being constructed in that area. So the proposed severances maintain the intent of the county official plan. The property's designated settlement area, Baltimore, in the township's official plan, residential uses are permitted in the settlement area. Our official plan contains the land division policies that allow for a maximum of 4 consents from a property in a settlement area, provided that lot exists in its form on November 16th, 2010. There have been no previous severances from this property since that date. Like the PPS, the township official plan contains policies regarding natural heritage features. There's no natural heritage features. The official plan, we just updated a couple of months ago with OPA number 14. It was adopted on April the 15th, 2025, and it implemented the source protection policies. It hasn't been approved by the county yet, but we know that the properties are within the wellhead protection area A and B, and the Section 59 notice is required. And the slope stability I've already discussed with council. So the official plan, committee, the official plan maintains the intent. The official plan, no, the consent applications are consistent with the policies contained in the official plan. The subject property is already zoned urban residential first density, which permits residential uses with a minimum on lots with a minimum lot area of 0.28 hectares and 30 meters of frontage when the lot will be serviced by municipal water. Even though the property is currently zoned, I'm recommending that the application be rezoned to a holding provision. And the holding provision will require the execution of a condominium agreement, which will outline the details regarding the communal road and access prior to the removal of the holding provision. So it's just protection for the municipality to make sure that we address the condominium components prior to any construction going through on the property. And as discussed, we can rezone that 15 meters within 15 meters of County Road 45 and 74 to a environmental protection zone and require a 15-meter front setback for those properties. So the application was circulated to a number of agencies. GRCA made those comments that I had stated earlier about the slope, but they also noted that the property includes areas within the Creighton Heights Wellhead Protection Area A and B, which are vulnerable areas under the Ganaraska Source Protection Plan. The only use that is specifically prohibited in Wellhead Protection Area A is home heating fuel. So that is specifically prohibited on that lot. And that lot is the lot that is immediately adjacent to our water treatment plant property. And in Wellhead Protection A and B, the installation of individual septic systems are considered a significant drinking water threat and must be managed through a prescribed instrument. That a section 59 notice is required under the Ganaraska Source Protection Plan. So Ganaraska had some other recommendations: the storage of home heating fuel, section 59 notice, and that a record of well drilling activity be provided to the RMO if such activity is proposed, and that none of that drilling not occur without such notification and screening. That stormwater and infiltration plans are prepared that align with the protection of groundwater recharge within the vulnerable areas. Hamilton Township Building Department had no objection. Public Works commented that the common road will be a condominium road and that Stallwood is applying for a plan of condominium, and approval of the condominium will be required as a condition of consent. The township will not be responsible for the internal road. Northumberland County Planning had no objections with the proposed application, provided the applicant addresses the following conditions to the satisfaction of Northumberland County, where applicable. Some of the below noted conditions may be deferred to the related plan of subdivision. Well, all of them can be deferred to the plan of subdivision stage. So all of these items that they've addressed here regarding traffic, stormwater, street lighting, engineering, pavement structure, the slope stability we're dealing with as a separate condition, the hydro-G, the archaeology, are all required as a condition of the application for a plan of condominium. So those things will be dealt with at that stage. In reviewing the county conditions, all of these conditions can be addressed during the condominium application review. So the application maintains the intent of the county official plan. Notice of the application was circulated to all registered landowners within 60 meters of the property on May 22nd, and a sign was posted on the property on May 27th. I received one telephone call from, actually I received two. At the time that the report was written, I had received one telephone call from an area resident requesting additional details on the proposed severances. I discussed the proposal with them and provided them with some additional information by email, and they didn't get back to me. Since that time, I have received a telephone call from a resident on McCarty Drive who had concerns regarding water pressure and any impact that the proposed development might have on their water pressure. I reviewed that concern with the manager of water services, who confirmed that it would not have any negative impact on the water pressure for McCarty Drive. So the application is located in Baltimore designated settlement area. We anticipate residential development on the property. These are large lots for a settlement area. During the review of the applications and prior to the review of the applications, alternative lot configurations were reviewed in an attempt to try and get higher density on the property. However, it didn't work. We just, given the hydrogeology and everything else, they just couldn't get, and the amount of road that would have to be constructed, they couldn't get the yields that they needed in order to have a extension of basically the Deerfield subdivision on that property. So the recommendation is that the application be approved subject to a number of conditions, And some of the conditions are different on this application than other ones. In this one, I've included as a condition of consent that the applicant shall enter into, oh, this is one, sorry, I forgot to mention this one earlier to you. GRCA recommended that that future landowners be aware of their obligations under the Ganaraska Source Protection Plan. So they're recommending that the applicant enter into a development agreement to be registered on title, alerting future landowners of their obligations under the Source Protection Plan. The county has also requested road widening, 18.25 meters from the county road 74 and 45. A section 59 notice is required under the Clean Water Act. That a draft plan of condominium be approved for the severed and retained lands, and that a zoning bylaw be in effect, including the 15-meter setback from County Road 45 and 74 frontages, and be placed in a holding zone. The holding will only be removed upon execution of a condominium agreement on the property.
Thank you, Jennifer. Going to the audience, I can see the agent for the applicants here, which will have an opportunity to speak in a moment. However, going to others present, do we have anyone here in support of the application that would like to speak? Do we have anyone here in opposition to the application that would like to speak? Sir, please come forward to the microphone here in the center of the room. We would ask you to state your name and address. And just before we do that, we need to ensure that microphone's on.
Okay, my name's Alan Beauchamp.
Please sit down. So you're directing your voice into the microphone.
Okay.
Thank you.
My name's Alan Beauchamp. I live at 51 McCarty Drive. I'm right behind the house that they're rebuilding. And I kind of like the house, don't get me wrong. The one concern that I had, and you brought up, is the water pressure. It scares me because sometimes our water pressure gets low. And that's one of my biggest fears of this. I'm not object to the houses going in, but I'm very scared of the water pressure. And that really concerns me a lot. And for the my backyard of the house, that the original house that's there, all those trees that are behind my house to the property line, where the fence is, it should be back towards me, because where my property line is, all those trees behind me are, the majority of them are dying. And I don't want to be responsible for those trees when they start knocking down. And those are the only two things that I'm scared of.
Understood. Help me understand a couple of things with a bit of detail. You're at 51 McCarty.
Yes,
You're on municipal water,
yes, I am.
and these proposals are not going to be on municipal water. They'll be on private wells. Jennifer, please.
If I could interrupt you, Chairman Jib. If the proposal is that these properties will be provided with municipal water.
Then I need clarity on that understanding. We have limitations at the Baltimore Water Plant. Do we have sufficient water that allows these units to be the priority units
Yes,
to be tied in?
yes,
And therefore then our manager of our water department states
that there is water supply for these lots.
and will not negatively impact the existing residential units with further pressure reduction.
That is what she has, I talked to her last week after I received a telephone call regarding that, and she confirmed that there would be no impact on water pressure.
Okay. I don't have a great history of water, so I certainly do have to rely on
But are
the
they gonna-
person that has the expertise.
But are they gonna guarantee that? Because over the years, they've always said, they've always had problems with water pressure. And they were talking about building 10 houses in the back. And that, this was basically people talking, 10, and now it's down to 4 plus the one that they're redoing. And my concern is, that's what my concern is.
We,
You know, we got this house built because we're retired and we love our area. We love the area and what they're gonna do in the back. I agree with it. But if the water pressure is gonna be a big issue, that scares me.
again, I'll say I don't have expertise in water. We do have a person that's trained and experienced in that department who's provided us with the comment that it will not have a negative impact. I would suggest that to properly answer Mr. Beauchamp's questions and concerns, that we ask our staff to reach out and explain where we're at, which of course is our comment that it won't negatively impact. Would that help in any way if we got our staff to speak with you directly?
Yes,
Okay.
like I said, I just want guarantees that this is not gonna have an impact on the houses around us. Because we love our community.
Well,
We really enjoy where we are.
I think there's a minimum standard of pressure that any municipality has to provide to any household. And that's probably where you would want to take that conversation with our staff. I'll simply leave it for staff, our CAO, or possibly our planner to share that request with our water manager and say, please reach out to Mr. Beauchamp and have a good conversation
Okay.
with you. Now, your other item in respect to trees. The trees that you would be responsible for would be the ones on your property.
Well, yeah.
There would be no responsibility of yours on any other property.
Right, but where my property line is, where my pins are, the fence is like 3 feet on the other side of the property. So those trees are not mine.
And they would,
That fence should be moved on the other side of the trees, basically, that's what I'm saying. I don't care if the fence is there, but I don't want to be responsible for those trees when they start falling, because there's a lot of dead ones.
if the pins are in a different spot than the fence, then the fence is irrelevant. It's where the pins
Okay,
are that
okay.
identify where your responsibility
Okay.
is. And I'm going with your information that the
Yeah.
pins are in a different spot than the fence.
Yeah.
Historically, pins and fences line up very close, but there's no assurances of that.
Hmm.
So we have to rely on the pins. Again, I'll state what's within your property limits would be your responsibility. What is outside of your property limits is someone else's responsibility.
Okay,
And I'll turn to staff for acceptance of that or confirmation of that. I got two senior staff people saying I'm okay with that statement.
okay. Like I said, where my pins are, I'm just going by where my pins are. And these trees are like 35, 40 feet high. And a lot of them are dying. And a lot of them are hitting on the property on the other side of me. And there's some branches that are 25, 30 feet long and they're dead. And
Understood.
that's one of my concerns. I don't want them to sell the property and then I'm stuck with them. I know you're saying my property, my pins are wherever they are, but I just want to make sure.
Now, the pins are the legal,
Yeah, okay.
I want to say legal document. That's not good usage of a word,
Yeah.
legal markers, not the fence.
So they're not my trees.
Not your trees if they're outside
So
your
if I have
fence.
if I have a problem, I just call Stallwood.
The owner of the property.
Okay,
Yep.
that's all I wanted to know.
Thank you. We will record the fact that we're going to have our water manager reach out to you and discuss that with you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Okay, just to go through the process and follow up, is there anyone seeking clarification on the application? Okay, I'll turn to my fellow committee members. Any questions or comments? I have a couple. It simply deals with stormwater and its potential negativity, and groundwater and I guess its potential negativity, although heading in two different directions. Our applications are addressing stormwater through a process. One of the items that enter into my mind, if we're putting holding zone on these properties in an interim condition, could or should we be looking at future zoning to prohibit or restrict any items? And the one that comes to mind is home industries that would normally be permitted in that general residential zone. Those types of commercial with quotation marks around it may not be suited for all benefits in the area. I guess I'd leave that as a question. Staff, do you want to respond? Mr. Dew, do you want to respond to that concern in any way?
So excuse me, through you, Chairman Jib, by home industries, you're referring to those home occupations, home industries that are generally undertaken in accessory structures that are larger than, I forget, is it 400 square feet, or there's a certain.
Used to be almost 600, but that's a number of years ago.
Okay, so you're referring to those home industries. You're not referring to home occupations that are generally taking place within the principal dwelling that sometimes you may have a account. I mean, we have a lot of people that work from home now, so home industries aren't what they used to be.
I'm thinking of the ones that could have a negative impact on water. And I use the word home industries
Okay.
in an old definition that I might have had in my head from years ago. And I turn to Mr. Dew. I'm sure you understand the objective of the question and the comment, and I'll simply throw it your way for a knee-jerk thought.
So I think we have a certain amount, and forgive me, Mr. Chairman, but in the covenants for Deerfield specifically, it did speak to certain limitations in terms of, to be blunt, say, an auto repair industry. If that's probably what you were leading to, what you were thinking, I believe that we spoke to that in our restrictions within the Deerfield, and I think it was Deerfield as a whole, from the phase that predates us by 20 years. It did not permit those, which are permitted, I think, within the larger municipal zoning. But I don't know, is there restriction on that within the urban boundary? I'm not certain. I defer to the senior planner. It would not, sorry, Jennifer, but it would be something that we would not be opposed to having that limitation of an automotive repair facility on these properties. That one, given the location to the wellhead protection, I would say it probably would not be granted a building permit. It probably, the wellhead protection document that I've reviewed speaks to that as well in terms of permit application.
Thank you, Mr. Dew. And of course, what I'm really hearing is we're all in agreement. We can look at that and get to a logical conclusion for everyone's benefit. Thank you. Jennifer?
Through you, Chairman Jib, just to let you know that they have submitted their zoning bylaw amendment application, which you will be seeing in July's meeting, council meeting.
My
So-
response to that is we need to have a quick conversation then between staff and developer.
Yep, we will. We will. We can address those uses through the, because it does require a special a special urban residential zoning, we can prohibit certain uses that would normally be considered as part of the home occupation. And as Anthony indicated, there are some uses that under the source protection plan aren't permitted regardless of the zoning, like the storage of certain, you heard about the home heating fuel on that urban residential first at the lot on Dale Road. That's prohibited. There are certain chemicals that you can't store in the wellhead protection areas. There's certain uses you can't, like salt domes. There's a lot of things that you can't do regardless of what the property is zoned if it's within a wellhead protection area.
Thank you. The other question I have is in relationship to stormwater runoff in relationship to the municipal well system. I'm having a little trouble seeing and reading, but I think the dark blue line, which basically runs through the original Finley house, and as it moves to the north and moves to the east, parallel to Dale Road or County Road 74, seems to have a berm on the northerly side prohibiting any additional water runoff towards the well property. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and through you to members of the committee, we have, and as I understand it, while it's not completely pertinent to consent, but as part of the overall process, we have a comprehensive stormwater management and erosion control plan that is part of the documents that we have prepared for staff here at the township.
Thank you. I see the outlet actually an inlet to the storm sewer in County Road 45. Conversations are complete with the county permitting that or are ongoing? Ongoing. Thank you. Any further questions from any committee members? Okay, Jennifer, we've got 4. Oh, Mr. Dew, you're the applicant agent, so certainly didn't provide you much of an opportunity to speak. Would you like to speak to anything specifically at this time?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is just one note I would like to make to the committee. If you have a second to glance at the map, the parcel, which is a sort of standalone noted as B06, does have certain strategic advantages, and it is part of our severance application related to its proximity to the Creighton Heights stormwater facility. It had been suggested by the senior planner that if required, we would note a memorandum of understanding to the township that the first right of refusal for purchase of that property known as B06 be granted in favor of the township of Hamilton.
I think I would say we understand, we appreciate that, but please strike the word storm from the word stormwater facility.
Sorry. Correction, the water treatment plant.
Thank you.
My error. You got me going on stormwater.
Okay, any further questions? Thank you. Jennifer, do you want to walk us through our process, which I'm sure is 4 separate motions? Would you like me to read the motion that relates to B0325, get a mover and a seconder, and then identify the conditions and move on to B4 and 5 and whatever?
Yes, we need a decision. So we need a move, a second, outline conditions, all
On
those in
each- on
favor
each.
on each one.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay, this is in respect to B03-25. The prepared motion reads that the application B0325 by Stallwood Homes, forgive me, Agent Anthony Dew, to several parcels of land, the creation of a vacant urban residential lot in Part Lot 8 Concession 2 be approved, subject to the following conditions 1 through 10. Do I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by John, seconded by Mark. All those in favor? Thank you, and I'm quite sure the reason they're going to be 1 through 10. As chosen by staff. Okay. 9.2, consent, B0425. Prepared motion reads that the application by Stallwood Homes, agent Anthony Dew, to sever a parcel of land, the creation of a vacant urban residential lot, part lot 8, concession 2, be approved, subject to following conditions 1 through 10. We have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Bruce, seconded by Larry. Oh, Mark, sorry. All those in favor? For the typical reasons and the conditions set forth. (9.3) on our agenda, B0525. Motion reads that application B0525 by Stallwood Homes, Anthony Dew, agent, to sever a parcel of land, creation of a vacant urban residential lot in part lot 8, concession 2, be approved, subject to the following conditions of 1 through 10. And I have a mover and a seconder. Moved by John, second by Larry. All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Typical reasons, conditions as set forth. (9.4) on our agenda. Consent 06-25. Motion reads that the application B0625 by Stallwood Homes, Anthony Dew, agent, to sever a parcel of land, the creation of a vacant urban residential lot, part lot 8, concession 2, be approved, subject to the following conditions 1 through 10. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Bruce, seconded by John. All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Same conditions, same reasons. Okay, we'll just take a bit of a breath while Jennifer catches up.
I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Next item of business is motion to adjourn. At 3:04. Motion reads that the Committee of Adjustment meeting held on June 10th, 2025 be adjourned at 3:04 p.m. All those in favor? Sorry, moved and seconded rather. Moved by Mark, seconded by Bruce, then all those in favor. I think that was unanimous. Thank you, everyone.